Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode where I wanted to talk about my potential solution for mass shootings and how we can best protect ourselves. Let's start this episode off by defining what is a mass shooting. And of course, unfortunately, we have to go to Wikipedia for definitions, so don't take this too literally. I tried to look at Merriam-Webster, but they didn't have a specific definition for mass shooting, so here we are. Mass shooting from Wikipedia says, there is a lack of consensus on how to define a mass shooting. Most terms define a minimum of 3 or 4 victims of gun violence, not including the shooter or in an inner city, in a short period of time, although an Australian study from 2006 required a minimum of 5 and added a requirement that the victims actually died as opposed to being shot and injured, but not necessarily killed. So in the US, it sounds like there must be a minimum of 3 or 4 victims. They don't necessarily have to die, but they must be injured. So it would seem that we're just going to exclude Chicago from mass shootings because I couldn't even tell you why, you know. If you know anything about gun violence, then you know Chicago's the capital of gun crime in the U.S., more or less, right? You're more likely to die from being a victim of an armed robbery, armed assault, armed anything. And no one talks about it. No one addresses it. When you ask Mayor Lightfoot about what's going on in her city, she just calls you a racist and doesn't answer your questions. So let's refresh ourselves of some of the recent mass shootings. Just of the mass shootings, let's just say in the most recent week. Let's pull this one up together. We got over here from MSN News. Let's pull this up so we can look at it together. All right. We've got mass shootings in a week. Richmond, Virginia, 4 dead. Washington Park, 1 dead, 3 injured. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1 dead, 6 injured. November 19th, Colorado Springs, 8 dead, 19 injured. Dallas, Texas, 4 injured. West Palm Beach, Florida, 2 dead, 2 injured. Chesapeake, Virginia, what do we got here? 8 dead, 4 injured. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 4 injured. Now that's just November 18th through November 23rd. It's now November 27th. Granted, at least from what I've heard in the news, there hasn't been another mass shooting in the last few days, thank God. But it really does sound like mass shootings or school shootings or any other type of mass public killing seems to be commonplace these days. How commonplace, I would ask. All right, well, let's go ahead and pull up another article here that we can all check out for ourselves here. Let's go to, and again, I apologize for having to go here again, but let's go to Wikipedia, as they have a fairly inclusive list, from what I can tell, and fairly accurate list of recent mass shootings. Here we go. So again, some of these we just talked about. We've got Chesapeake, Virginia, Colorado Springs, Charlottesville, Virginia, St. Louis, Missouri, Raleigh, North Carolina, Oakland, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Bend, Oregon, Greenwood, Indiana, Highland Park, Allen, Kentucky, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's all before we get back to Uvalde, Texas, which I'm sure we all remember. Chicago, Illinois, Laguna Woods, Buffalo, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and look at these death counts on the side, right? We've got injured or dead. These are high numbers in some of them. 48 injured in Highland Park, Illinois. Chattanooga, 12. Uvalde, Texas, 22 injured, 18 dead. So obviously, mass shootings seem to be on the rise. Statistically, I think the statistics would also agree with that. I don't have them pulled up, which is why I'm not quoting them specifically. My question is, what do we do about it? What's a practical solution? I mean, if you've come to my channel, you're looking at my hat, you can tell that I support the Second Amendment and that one of the best defenses is to defend yourself. You are the only person in this world who has the knowledge, the skills, the attitude, and the plan to protect yourself. You know yourself better than anyone else is ever going to. You know your strengths and your weaknesses, and that's a good thing, hopefully, right? So now I present to you a challenge. I think we all need to step out of our comfort zones a little bit and really ask ourselves some tough questions here. I was on the phone with my mom recently, and we were talking about mass shootings as well. And one thing that I proposed, I kind of devolved all shootings into one category to try to break it down as far as what my potential solution should be for stopping mass shootings like this. I know it's not popular. I know many people aren't going to agree with it. That's okay. I just like to get the idea out there and then we can build from there, right? My idea is that first you have to recognize the society you live in. You have to accept the reality and the consequences thereof of the society that we're in. As we just read, mass shootings are taking place. Doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter if you're at work, the grocery store, or at school. You and I could be a victim of a mass shooting at any point in time. And I'm not here to fearmonger about it. I'm not here to scare you and tell you that you need to be afraid every time you step out the door. No, I'm here to tell you to be prepared as best you can. How do you do that? And maybe this is easier for me to say than it is for others to do because I was in the Army. It was kind of just beaten into my brain to think this way. All right, let me give you the situation I presented to my mom. You are a child in a school during a mass shooting, and the teacher has locked the door, and you are all inside hiding, and it's, let's say, 20 to 25 kids, all in second or third grade, and you've got one teacher, right? There's no doors to other rooms. There's like one or two doors to the room, one in and one outdoor, we'll say. The shooter gets into the room. Tell me, what is this classroom training going to do? This classroom training that teaches kids to be quiet, get under your desk and hide, call 911. I mean, we saw in Uvalde, what did that do? Nothing. All those kids died. Why? I mean, they had kids in the classroom that was actively being shot, and that was the active murder scene. They had kids on the phone with 911. They had police on scene, and no one entered that room. They claimed the doors were locked, and then we found out in the aftermath the doors were unlocked to that classroom. So police could have gotten in at any time. They didn't. No one is coming to save you. Not in the proper amount of time that you may need. It takes seconds to take a life. Milliseconds even. It takes minutes for the police to get there. It takes tens of minutes for police to respond. Depending on the situation, it may take hours for the proper teams of police and SWAT and critical incident teams to respond. So what are you going to do? Are you going to just continue to sit there and be quiet under your desk while everyone else gets shot? No, I thought we learned from Columbine. Where did the massacre, the worst of the massacre take place? In the library, where all the kids ran and hid, and no one left. I mean, obviously some people left. Not everyone was murdered in there, but that's where the worst of it was. One thing that I learned, and they show this in movies, and it's accurate. Staying still gets you killed. Staying in the one spot is going to get you killed. You have to move. So what do I propose? I proposed to my mom, I said, to me, this is what all of these situations break down to. You're that child. The shooter is now in your classroom, and the police are not coming in an appropriate amount of time to save you. You are all going to die, including your teacher. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there quietly? Are you going to hide behind your desk crying? Or are you going to throw something? Are you going to charge the shooter with your desk? Here's where I think I'm going to lose some people, but bear with me. My solution, what I would do, I hope, if this situation ever arose, is that I would have the strength to charge that son of a bitch. And I may die. I may very well be the first to be shot. And it's pointless if I'm the only one who reacts that way. I was nothing more than another target for his bullet to catch. However, I propose, instead of teaching our kids to hide behind desks and be quiet and just cry, I propose that we must teach our kids the delicate balance and effectiveness of the fight or flight response, the fight or flight response in our bodies. We need, as best we can, to train everybody at every age to lose their flight response in these situations. It must be, again, this is just my opinion. I may be wrong. That's okay. If I am, please tell me what you think in the comment section down below. But I think if every single kid across the country were trained not to be quiet, not to sit behind their desk in that kind of a situation, but to rise up as one, not as 5 or 10 or 20 individuals, rise up as one. And all of you at once have to overwhelm and attack the attacker. And violence will be necessary to stop the extreme violence that is already taking place. Many of you bitch about violence and violent men and toxic masculinity. And yet I see some of these very same people on social media right now praising the man who stopped the Club Q shooting, praising him, calling him a hero. I ask you, are you recognizing the male testosterone and violence that was used to save innocence? No, sweetheart. Men being aggressive and having the capacity for violence is not a bad thing. A man who has that capacity but is able to keep his sword sheathed is mightier than any murderer out there. In my opinion, we must train kids to fight as one, just as adults should be trained to fight as one. You must all rush the attacker. Now, this ain't going to work in every case, right? The Las Vegas shooting that happened a few years back where the guy was on top floor of a hotel high-rise or something, right? Obviously, y'all can't identify where the shooter is, let alone all of you go storm the hotel and then end his life or end the threat. We're not trying to end lives. We're trying to end the threat when we have to defend our lives. In that situation, you could not. But again, if you are a child in a classroom and it's only you, 20 other people, and your teacher, and no one is coming to save you, what are you going to do? Again, I propose that you must fight. All of you must attack the attacker. And many of you, some of you will be shot. Many will be hurt. Many will be scarred and traumatized for life. And some will die. However, if it's just one person attacking the attacker, nothing will stop. The madness will continue until he can no longer shoot his gun or the police have come and ended the threat. And you are at the mercy of whatever they want to do to you and everyone else. One person having this mindset is not good enough. The majority of people need to have this mindset that you are your best defender. You need to understand the laws applicable to your state, your municipality, your local jurisdictions. You can't always defend innocent life with a gun. And that's a bad thing. Our nation is wrong because of that. Those democratic cities that don't allow you a weapon to defend yourself and to defend others from things like this, that's wrong. Shouldn't be allowed. In my opinion, you have the God-given right to defend your life from someone trying to take it, just as you have the right to defend someone else's life from being taken. I'm not telling you to go break the laws. I'm telling you my morals. Let me pull up one more picture here. We'll talk about it. Where did I hide this one? Here we go. My question to you. Are you going to just run and allow your flight response to take over and just sit in a corner and die? Or are we going to make a change? Are we going to address that this is happening? This is reality. People are losing their lives because we're hiding and not actively defending ourselves. We're not actively ending the threat. When we are, sometimes the person is hailed as a hero. Sometimes we get told about the toxic masculinity and how men are too aggressive. Yet there are people thanking God on their knees right now for the violence that man used. To my understanding, he beat the bloody shit out of that attacker. That piece of shit, person. I'm not going to use that shooter's name. He's a degenerate, low-life piece of shit who deserves no air or attention. He wants to be called they, them. Go fuck yourself. And Colorado, the state I left, obliged to this. You have agreed to call this person an it. You are saying that a person did not commit this shooting. A thing committed this shooting. What a fucking disgrace to the people he murdered and who were injured. To say that what happened to them wasn't the act of a terrible, evil, vile human being who's confused about who they are. No. Instead, the media and the Colorado legislature want to play along with it and say that it killed people. I don't agree with this transgender ideology bullshit. It is detrimental to kids. If you're an adult, I don't have any problems with it. You are free to live your life as you so choose. Keep it the fuck away from our kids. Quit these fucking drag shows. From what I've read online, perhaps Club Q was targeted because if you look at their postings on Facebook, 1 hour, I think it was an hour and a half before the shooting took place, they posted an event saying basically, like there's going to be a drag event, all ages are welcome, and there's going to be lots of different types of dancing. It's a gay bar, LGBTQ club, that was going to have drag shows for children. An hour and a half later, it gets shot up. Now, I don't know if there's any correlation there. I'm not saying there is. Correlation does not always equal causation. However, look what this movement has brought us. Not very much good. There's a couple of trans people online that are good role models, good inspiration, and who really understand what that lifestyle means and entails and what you lose by pursuing that lifestyle. Blair White, you should go check out her channel. She's a respectable trans woman. She's probably one of the few trans people I actually refer to with she, her pronouns, or, as they would like to be called. I know people that would like to be called they, them, and I refuse to. I don't believe that they have done enough soul searching to understand what they are asking of me, of society, or of themselves. And as an adult, I don't agree to a conversation with them unless they can be addressed as an adult. All I need to do is use your name. That's all I need. Anyway, getting a little away from mass shootings here. Let me go ahead and wrap this up. Let me again summarize this picture here on the screen. Are you going to run and hide and cry in a corner until you get shot? Or are you going to take the time to train yourself to be better and stronger than fear? To have a soldier's strength and courage? To say, my life is worth it. Maybe I'll die, but others will live, and that's worth it. We need to find strength again in humanity, in men, in women, in ourselves. And we must admit that guns are not the problem. Evil people that wield guns illegally are the problem. And they must be dealt with legally. That's all I have to say. I appreciate all of you coming back for this episode. As always, I upload a video once, if not twice a week, sometimes more. Just kind of depends on what the work schedule allows. If you've got anything that you would like to talk about in the comments section, I look forward to seeing you there. And as always, if anyone that you know needs to hear this message, please feel free to share this message with any one of your friends and family. Again, I thank you for coming back, and I'll see you soon.